to part 1 of the post-closing training. In the training, we're going to discuss some basic functions, screens and fields, reports and forms, work queues, business rules, support tables, and interfaces within the post-closing department. Some of the basic functions that we'll cover are how to ship a loan, track insurance, track prior to purchase conditions, track trailing docs, and of course your file loan storage. Some of the screens that we're going to cover include shipping, insuring, prior to purchase conditions, trailing docs, MERS information, and of course the file room. And there are quite a few reports and forms that you'll want to use, but we'll only cover just a few. Now there are some work queues that will help you manage your post-closing department. And of course there are quite a few business rules that are going to be very useful for the post-closer that look at information that's been entered in the system. It may warn you that certain information hasn't been completed, or it may warn you of other things as well. And of course there are 2 types of support tables that we'll be looking at. And of course we do have the MERS interface, which if you're interested in the MERS interface, you will want to review the MERS training video. So let's go ahead and hop into ProLender. So here I am in my post-closing department. The first screen is for shipping. Now this is where you're going to enter in all of your key dates that's going to allow you to track where this loan file is. So here we have the date that it was received in post-closing, when it's due to the investor, when it was actually shipped, when it was suspended by the investor, when all of those prior to purchase conditions have been cleared, when it's actually been purchased. So you have also your final HUD status that you'll select from the drop-down. And of course the final HUD received and the final HUD sent date. So you will want to make sure that as you're working on this file that you are entering in these key dates. It's going to make sure that all of your reporting is accurate. Now of course you'll have your settlement date, and once you start entering these dates, it's going to enter in who the shipper is automatically. And then of course your investor and investor commitment number, that's going to pull over from your secondary lock record. And then of course you have your investor loan number. And then you can select how you're actually shipping this file to the investor. So if it's through email or through FedEx, you want to select from that drop-down. Now if you are using something like FedEx or UPS, you'll want to enter in your tracking number. And if you go into Actions, you can click on Track Package, and that's actually going to open up the shipping services website and enter in the tracking number so that you can quickly see where this package is. You've already sent it, so you might want to know where it is and how close it is to actually being received by the investor. Now the next screen is for insuring. Now you'll notice that there's a few fields up here at the top that are read-only. This information is actually being pulled from the underwriting department on the taxes and insurance screen. So if some of this information is missing, you'll want to contact your underwriter and make sure that they complete it. Of course, by the time the loan gets to post-closing, you should assume that this information is already entered. But if there is a situation where it's not completed, then you will want to contact the underwriter. Of course, you have some key date fields that you want to enter as well. And of course, your previous case number, HUD authorization code, or the VA office code. So you want to make sure that you enter all of this information, as well as, again, how this particular information was shipped. And again, once you enter this information, you can go up to Actions and use the Track Package feature as well. Now the next screen is for prior to purchase conditions. So once you actually send the package to the investor and they suspend the package until all of the prior to purchase conditions have been signed off, they'll send you a list of all of those prior to purchase conditions. So you'll want to enter those in ProLender on this screen so that you can keep track of when it was received, when it was cleared, when you sent it, all of that stuff. So if you go to Actions, there are a few ways that you can get your prior to purchase conditions onto this file. Now you can manually enter them If, let's say, the investor comes back with a prior to purchase condition that is pretty unique to this particular file, well, then you can just click on Insert Condition and manually type it in. What most of our clients are going to do is click on the Batch Insert Condition. Now here, there's a list of some pretty generic or standardized conditions. And so all they would have to do is just check the box next to the prior to purchase condition they want to add to this file and click on Select. Now, depending on security rights, you may be able to add to this list just by clicking on Add New, or you may need a ProLender administrator to update this list for you. But at least here, you can just check the box and apply them to your file. You don't have to manually type them in. Now, another option, if we go back up to Action, is to apply a condition schedule. So let's say, for example, your investor has a set of prior to purchase conditions that they always have on every single file. Well, your ProLender administrator can create a condition schedule so that all you have to do is find that investor's prior to purchase condition schedule in the list, click on it, click Select, and it will automatically apply all of those conditions to the file. So there's a few different ways that you can get those prior to purchase conditions onto the file. Again, this way is pretty easy, but it does require your ProLender administrator to set it up. Now, once you have your prior to purchase conditions on the screen, you'll notice that some of them will show up in red, some are in black. Black just means that they've already been cleared. Red means that they're still outstanding. So again, this is a very helpful tool for the post-closer to keep track of what conditions are still outstanding, which ones I still need to send over. So let's just take a look at one of these. So here you have the type, the date that it was added, when it was received, when it was actually cleared, the category, and then of course the person who entered in all of these dates, and then the actual condition. So it's very easy for you to read all of the key dates with regards to this prior to purchase condition. Now the next screen is for trailing docs. And you'll notice that we have a few here in our grid. Once all of these prior to purchase docs are completed, you will want to make sure that you enter in your final docs completed date. That's going to signal to ProLender to change the loan status. So keep that in mind that once all of these are completed, that you want to enter in this key date. Now again, let's say that you need to enter in some final docs so that you can track them. You can go up to Actions, click on Insert Trailing Docs. So if you want to manually enter in a trailing doc, this would be the option to use. You also have the Batch Insert Trailing Docs option. So just like we saw with the prior to purchase conditions, you can check the box next to the document that you want to add and click Select. Or there's another option. If you go back up to Actions and click on Auto Generate Trailing Docs, this option is going to use logic to determine which documents need to be added to this file. So your ProLender administrator can set it up to where, let's say, for example, if this is a condo, then there should be a condo rider trailing doc. So if you were to click on Auto Generate Trailing Docs, ProLender would run through all of the logic that's been set up, and it would see that this is a condo, and then it would automatically add a condo rider as a trailing document. So there are 3 different ways that you can get these trailing docs onto your file. But again, this last option does require that your ProLender administrator set it up and adds the logic. Now the next screen is for MERS information. Now again, there is the MERS training video that if you're interested in using the MERS interface, you'll want to review that video. Here we do allow you to track the registration, transfer of rights, and deactivation through ProLender. So you would complete the information and then use the interface to send the information over to MERS. So again, check out the MERS training video for more information on this. And the last screen is for your file room. So this is where you can track where your physical loan file is going to be stored, or perhaps maybe if it's being stored in a digital file. Here you'll want to enter in the date that it was actually sent to storage, and then select the storage company or the type of storage that the file is going into. So for example, if you're using Image Center and all of your documentation is being scanned in Image Center, then you would just select Image Center. Or maybe you have an in-house file room that you want to designate as, that's where all of your loan files are going to be stored. Or perhaps maybe you have an outside company that you're sending all of your loan files away into their storage warehouse. So you'll want to select exactly where that file is going. And then if it is in a physical location, then you can use the location/shelf number field to determine, maybe the shelf that it's in or the filing cabinet that it's in, maybe the drawer number, however you're organizing your loan files. Now the other part, if you are storing your physical loan files and someone requests that they see that physical loan file, they'll want to come in here and enter in the date. Now it's going to automatically show who is requesting this file. The person who's in charge of your file room can run a daily report to see which files are requested. They can deliver those files, and once they do, they'll enter in the date. And so if anybody needs this file, they can always go into ProLender. They can see, who has the file, what day they requested it, and when it was delivered. Now once that file is returned to the file room, then you'll just remove both dates. And so if somebody does come in here and they want to request that file, they would just enter in the date again, and the process is repeated. You can record the history of these two fields if you want to have a record of who is requesting this particular file. So that concludes part 1 of the post-closing training.